And we are back.
We are back, Bumble bitches.
I believe this is episode 49 of season 2 of the To Be Better podcast.
That sounds correct.
You know what that means?
That we're almost done with these?
We have to record 2 more. Technically only 2 more. Because 52 is going to be a compilation episode of the entire year. It also means that we have an opportunity for a bonus episode. Mm-hmm. I don't know how, but there's going to be an extra week this year. An extra Monday for content.
Wow.
At the very last week of the month. It would have been episode 53. So we have an opportunity to do a bonus episode. Or we can just take that entire week off and run a replay of like the check-ins or something.
I think we should run a replay of the check-ins and then do a massive stream. When's New Year's?
I don't know, but while you're looking that up.
Oh, it's a Wednesday. Never mind.
Everybody that's currently, it doesn't matter, people will still be off work. New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For you guys who are watching live on Patreon, for those of you who don't know, we record every one of these episodes live for our Patreon community. They get excerpts and they just got about 10 or 15 minutes of us bullshitting before we did the We Are Back Bumble Bitches thing that she does. Yeah. And they get unedited, unfiltered content. So if you guys are not watching on Patreon, you should be. With that being said, if you are currently watching on Patreon, the chat over here that we continue to look at, we are looking for people who have done the check-ins to send a video story about their check-in. It can be 10 to 30 seconds long, preferably 30 seconds. You're going to email it to us so that we can use it in content to promote the check-ins. Zach and I are working on the logistics of that now. Just know that we will be using the video for our content. So if you have done the check-ins and they've helped your marriage in a good way or a negative way, fucking send the video to us so that we know. I mean, obviously that'll actually help us to reformat things and shit. Yeah. But, we'll be able to use that, for content moving forward to promote the check-ins. I don't have a whole lot to talk about because we've been live a lot this week playing catch up from Thailand.
We have, what do I have that's new? Oh, I've decided to, in my cooking videos on Patreon, I'm going to do a dish from every country where the podcast is hit. So it's not going to be like a scheduled thing, but when I do a cooking video,
it'll not be American.
It might not be American. First one's mango sticky rice.
Thailand.
Speaking
of vacations, we have the To Be Better adventures. Costa Rica sold out already. Costa Rica 2.0 is live.
Oh, let's say stop.
I don't know if it'll sell out by the time this drops, but this will drop in the beginning of December.
Okay.
If it doesn't sell out and you guys want to go to Costa Rica with us, I would recommend going to our website and clicking on events. I have to actually include the new one because I haven't even done that yet. But by the time this goes live, it'll be live on the website. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the description of the video. If you would like to go to Costa Rica with us, we will be doing seminars. We'll be staying in a resort. We'll be doing all kinds of dope shit there.
Nature stuff.
I would suggest that you go check that out.
Oh, this is going to be released in like December
2nd, I believe.
Oh, my bath line's live by now.
Oh yeah.
If you guys haven't checked it out, Bumble Bitches Bath and Body.
It'll be on the To Be Better website, right?
Yes, tobebetter.com. Peach's Bath Line. We will be doing, it's going to be 3 things. We're going to be doing 2 scents, apple pie and pumpkin spice. There will be a coffee scrub, a hand lotion, and a body oil.
Are you going to get back into doing regular bars of soap too?
Yes. We're just
not on the first drop.
Yeah, not on the first drop. We're testing waters now. See how things sell out. Where we'll be at when we need to reorder.
Angel Dawn Sharp. I got approved to spend money with a firm. Not a lot though, LOL. I mean, if you got enough to go on the trip, I'd go on the trip.
Yeah, I mean, shit, anything's help.
Thailand changed my life.
Me too.
And not kinda. Like, it's restructured a whole lot of shit in my brain.
Yeah, the trajectory of where I thought we would be in 10 years has changed.
Drastically. It does not look the same to me at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm really fucking with the idea of like an RV or something.
Jordan's selling a school bus.
I know.
Okay, so let's problem solve that in real time.
Okay, let's go.
My concern is that if we do the school bus, it's going to sit.
Right.
A vehicle with an engine sitting in it, especially a diesel, is not good. Mm-hmm. If we buy a travel trailer, we have a van that we drive everywhere. And we can buy a travel trailer, a nice one with a shower and a tub and bunk beds in it for about 10 grand more than what I could buy his bus for. 5 grand more if you factor in the electrical shit that's got to be done to the bus. And that can be parked and it can be plugged into the house and somebody could live in that on the property if they wanted to. We could loan it to our friends. We could rent it out, whatever the case may be. If we buy one of these things, either one of these, and we only use them once or twice a year for a weekend, it's not worth spending the money on.
No, I'm wanting to do like a month of summer vacation traveling America.
I would like to do the entire summer vacation.
Yeah.
I also want to go to other countries. After watching that Iceland thing last night, the Iceland trip is renewed in me. If we could do a 10 to 15 day trip in Thailand or Iceland, and we could like do the full ring and stop and like stay at campgrounds, and I would like to do that. We have a mobile podcasting kit. We can not, take a vacation and work while we're on vacation in that aspect.
Right, we could.
We could bring that car rental place that we watched on that video had Starlink. So you have Wi-Fi all over the island.
Oh, hell yeah.
And you would be able to make that work if you wanted to. And like, I want to do that. I want to live life without my head on my screen.
Right.
So I think that we should be really, really doing it.
Yeah.
So Jenna said the conversation would be awesome, but I have thought about the pull behind as well. Pull behind makes the most amount of sense to me. The problem is it's another $10,000 out of pocket, and I'm not trying to finance it. I would like to buy it.
Right.
And in the event that we get internet at the house and we give the studio up, Carrie can just live in the pull behind. And if we ever go anywhere, we can be like, all right, house is yours, have fun, and we can leave.
Right. I want to look at the bus.
Yeah.
I do. I want to see the bus. Like if there's an area where the table breaks down and there's a bed for the children, I like the idea of having the space. The pool behind's nice. I like how compact it is and we can do a lot with it and it's small.
Well, the bunk beds that are on the pool behind will accommodate them until they're teenagers.
Yeah.
And if we bought one for 30 grand and got 3 or 4 months of use out of it a year, that's well worth the money because it was a decade before they're at an age where they can't use the shit.
Right.
I don't know. And if we build the van out, we can pull the trailer behind, throw a bed in the van, plug an AC into a generator, and they can sleep in the van when they get old enough and we'd still be able to use the pool behind. Like there's just a lot that goes into that. My only concern about the pool behind is hurricanes.
Oh, hurricanes. That's right.
Because a good gust of wind flips that bitch over and we're out 30 grand. Like,
yeah.
So
have to find storage for it. Costa
Rica is not fully booked. Twisted. The first Costa Rica trip is, the second trip is not.
2.0 is not.
Yep. It is not. There's eight bookings. The trip has been confirmed. So it is 100% happening now. And I believe the early bird slots are sold out. So I think it's $2,300 for 6 days in Costa Rica. So do you know if you need a Class B license for the bus? In Florida, you do not. And if it's registered in Florida, because we don't need it, I don't need it anywhere else in the United States. I can drive without it.
Love that.
Yep. So even if we bought like a full-size RV, you can drive that with a regular driver's license in the state of Florida. Therefore, you can drive it all over the rest of the country with a regular driver's license.
Making it easy for those seniors.
Yeah. My concern with the school bus is the length of the school bus and getting into national parks. I also realized that I could take that 20 to 30 grand and build our van out. It's already insulated. It's got an air conditioner. The only thing that it would not have is a shower. We'd have to get a cassette toilet, but we could buy a really dope tent and not even build the van out and just camp at campgrounds.
Right.
I don't know. What if you move to Tennessee and then get a pull behind? Abby really wants us to move to Tennessee.
I would love that. We would have a dope little community in Tennessee. We'd monthly meet up and bake bread or something. I'm down. I'm on it. Let's go.
I think that we would have a much better community in Tennessee.
I agree.
Holly said, think about this though. If your vehicle breaks down and you're driving a bus, you're screwed. If your truck breaks down with a pull behind, all you need to do is rent another vehicle while it gets fixed.
That's a good point.
Zach said, I have a for-hire endorsement. I could potentially drive it around regularly, maybe once or twice a month. That's funny. Let's jump into some emails, get that out of the way because we have until 2:00 today. And I know that Halloween and kids and all that fun stuff. So
yes.
Can we start with an update?
So this one says, update Patreon member. I was wrong and thank you.
Oh shit. I feel like we read this.
Editor's note, I included the original email at the end if you want the refresher. The short recap. The short recap is the original email was about her 10-year-old son that had a conduct disorder, was lying and acting out and showing signs of violence to the other younger children. They were considering sending him for inpatient treatment, and she was stressed by the child's behavior.
Okay.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No. I'm sure it will when we start reading it, though. Do you want to start with that and then get into the update? Yeah, let's do that. Read the first one first. We'll read it uninterrupted.
Okay.
Just to blast through it.
And then
go to the update.
Okay, so the original email. Oh, this is so original. They called me Chris.
Holy shit. That's old.
That is old.
Okay.
All right. Hi, Chris and Peaches. Firstly, I wanted to thank you that blah, 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 blah. Bleh. Okay. Firstly, I want to thank you both for the work that you do. I have seen both of your TikToks for a while before you started the podcast. And then I saw clips of the podcast once it got going, but it took me a while to jump in. I have been cycling your podcast in with my go-to true crime podcast regularly, and I have made so much progress in the couple of months that I've been listening. The information and conversations you have are invaluable. While there are things I disagree with, the way you articulate even the most controversial of topics creates such a safe space. I'm usually very good with my words on paper, but I do not know how to communicate to you both how much I value the things that you have done. I know it's been hard. I started listening backwards. I made the jump a couple of weeks ago and started back from the beginning to see how the podcast grew and evolved. My next step is Patreon, I promise, but my husband and I discuss and agree on reoccurring charges. My next step is Patreon, I promise, but my husband and I discuss and agree on recurring charges before we start them. It's on my list of things to discuss. My husband, 32, and I, 26, have been together since the summer of 2015, so we've been together for about 8.5 years, but have been married for almost 4, and we have 3 kids. One son, 10 years old, who is technically my bonus son from my husband's first marriage. 2 daughters, 3 years old and a 14-month-old. I remember this.
Okay.
I'm a stay-at-home mom, and my husband is a robotics and automatics engineer.
That sounds familiar.
My husband and I do communicate pretty well on most things, and it's gotten better over time. But there was a period of time in fall of 2022 when I was pregnant with my younger daughter, and another period of time in the summer of 2023 when I genuinely thought we were going to get divorced. He is the least yet most patient person I have met. I have to read that one more time. He is the least yet most patient person I have ever met. He's everything I've ever needed and more. He is the softness that I need, but is stern when needed. I don't know if stern is the right word, but I guess we're going with it. He loves me and our kids. I am the moon and the stars. The only person he likes more than me is our oldest daughter. That's kind of a joke. But the way that little girl has him wrapped around her finger, Lord, we really are best friends. I don't like the mushy-gushy, so let's get into it. Our son has conduct disorder and ADHD. In case you don't know, conduct disorder is behavioral and emotional problems characterized by a disregard for the others. The general simplified definition from Google. My husband got emergency custody in summer of 2017 and officially got full physical and legal custody in December of 2018. Before summer of 2017, he and his ex-wife shared 50-50 custody, though my husband was frequently taking his son to the bio moms, blah, 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 blah. Before summer of 2017, he and his ex-wife shared 50-50 custody, though he and his husband...
Really struggling over there.
This is such small print. It is so hard for me to see this shit on my phone. If I enlarge it, I have to move the screen back and forth.
You want me to pull it up on the TV?
That would make it a lot easier.
All right, where were you?
Right there, stop. Before summer of 2017. Do you see it? December 2018 and before summer 2017. Okay. Before summer 2017, he and his ex-wife shared 50-50 custody, though my husband was frequently taking his son on the bio mom's days because she often didn't want them. This was happening more and more frequently because there was an incident that led my husband to getting custody. Our son's bio mom has been in and out of his life since. She did not show up to our trial, so she was not awarded any visitation, nor was she made to pay any child support. I will say she has been consistently in his life for about 2 years now. We have always maintained that as long as bio mom is sober and consistent, she can have a relationship with our son, despite not having court-appointed visitation.
I'm going to pause you for a second. I know I said we were going to get this without interrupting, but I have a question.
Okay.
And this is more for everyone else, and I just want you to think about it. Obviously, you can't answer. Patreon guys, you can answer. I'll be looking at that while she's reading. For those of you who have children with somebody that you're not with anymore, if you had the ability to get them full-time, full custody, and not have the other person pay child support, would you accept that as a win and just take the fucking kids and do it on your own?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
If you had the ability to get full custody of your children and the other person not pay child support, would you be happy just getting custody of your kids and fucking taking it as a win and being happy with it?
I get to live life however I want.
With your kids? It's a valid question.
It is a valid question, yeah. We have gotten to the point where there are phone calls, visitation when our son is visiting his grandparents, bio mom's parents, so it can be supervised. We trust them wholeheartedly, and they have been seeing him 1 time a week on average since my husband got custody. And we invite her to birthday parties, sporting events, etc. My husband will not even consider allowing her more than what we're allowing her right now. Our oldest daughter, 3, has autism and a language disorder. She is verbal but struggles with speech because a lot of her speech is mimicked, so she doesn't have many unique phrases. She does use the word/phrases she uses correctly and in the right context a lot of the time, but communication is hard. I will say I have never struggled with my daughter's behaviors as much as my husband does. I have always told people that since she was born, I just understand her on a molecular level because I do. I have always known exactly what she wants and needs from day one. It's not like that with my son or my youngest daughter. She was the easiest baby and toddler that's ever existed until about 2. I knew at 14 to 15 months that she had autism. I dealt with a lot of resistance from pretty much everyone in our lives for a very long time when I brought up my concerns. But if there's one thing I do in this life, it will be to fight for my kids to get the things that they need. She was officially diagnosed in July of 2023. Why I understand her the way I do now makes a whole lot more sense, and I have the review for my psych eval and autism screening next week. Our youngest daughter is an absolute riot, adorable, sweet, and the most self-assured person I've ever met since birth. Scratch that, since the womb. We have had our son in therapy for 3.5 years. He sees a therapist outside of school, the school counselor, and another counselor through the school system. We are working on leveling out his medications, but that is an ever-changing thing with his age. We have also had to have him committed once. Okay, I'm also going to pause here because just something to think about. She praised both of the daughters in this email and has only said negative things about the son.
Okay. I don't remember this. I'm normally really good about remembering emails.
Yeah.
I don't remember this one.
Yeah, I'm not remembering much of this either. I remember the beginning a little bit, but
it must have been from really, really early on.
Yeah. All of mine and my husband's arguments stem from our son and our issues we have with him/his behaviors. My husband refuses to listen to me, our son's therapist, our son's psychiatrist, or even read any of the research he has sent. We had to change therapists for my son a few months ago because his old therapist felt she was not qualified to help him because his behaviors are so extreme.
Pause before you continue reading. Do you think that, why did you say that it's only a negative thing before I put words in your mouth with the son? Why do you think that is?
Like, why do I think the emailer's done that?
Right.
I think it's just a long-term negativity bias.
Okay.
It could be an amalgamation of things, but the first thing that comes to my mind is a long-term negativity bias.
Okay. I just wasn't sure.
Okay.
Obviously, that is the case, but if this is where they're struggling the most in their life, that would make sense that they're emphasizing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important because it's a child to put emphasis on the good in them because kid's in a really shitty situation. His mom, but he feels like his mom doesn't love him.
Right. But
mom doesn't care about him.
the emailer writing in is writing in for advice on the situation, I'm sure. So she's creating a picture of what's going on.
Right.
And I just, because I didn't view that as a negativity bias.
Right.
It didn't even dawn on me that was the case.
Yeah. Well, as a mother, I just took note that there's 3 children, but only 2 of them. I'm sure this child is not all bad.
No, I'm sure. But I was leading up to, okay, this is what they need help with kind of thing. Or the son is creating problems in the marriage because they can't connect or whatever the issue is. And I thought they were painting a picture just so that we understood what the actual hangups were.
Right.
And I didn't equate the same thing, which is why when you said that, I'm backpedaling in my brain to try to figure out why the fuck you said that, because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
This is why there's 2 of us and we have the thoughts that we have and why it works so well.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a mom, I just took note of that, like that dawned on me, because at the end of every single day, even if one of the children were a pain in the ass and went out of their way to make sure that they didn't listen, we will have a conversation about what could you have done better today. And I love that I had this moment with you.
Right.
I still love being your mommy. You still make me feel joyful, and I love being in your life and all these other kinds of things. And children can pick up on when you don't like them.
Right.
Okay. Back to the email. When I share things about my son, people often think I'm just being negative or exaggerating because he's not my real son.
Oh.
But to be clear, I have been in his life since he was 2 years old and helping raise him full time since he was 4. I would take a bullet for that child without a second thought. He is my baby, but the following things are facts and we have evidence of it.
Okay, well, there you go. Oh, I do remember this because of that phrase right there.
Okay. He is a pathological liar, has a 135 IQ, so highly intelligent, highly manipulative, mostly using emotions, but in every way possible. He has abused our dogs, who are all very large too. 2 of them are bigger than him. We also have video evidence of him intentionally harming our oldest daughter on multiple occasions. I have personally witnessed him harming our oldest daughter in a, to be honest, high-stress situation. But I took steps to do what I could to prevent him and talk him down, and he still harmed her again in this situation. We were in the car, middle of nowhere at 2 a.m. My husband was not there. I could not stop. Okay, so I'm going to pause. So I know we've already read this.
Right, okay, good.
I know that we've done that. And just something that's popping up in my mind that's to keep into consideration. I watch a lot of Dr. Phil, right? And something that he says often that just pop into my mind is, don't ask why they're doing it. Ask them why wouldn't they be doing that, especially when it comes to children who misbehave. And she just said it's a super high situation. The father's not there. They're in a car at 2 a.m. in the middle of nowhere. Why wouldn't he be acting out? This is not a stable situation. Things are not in the optimal position for the environment. And of course, all of those other things added in there, the 135 IQ, being highly manipulative, all of the things factor in. I would also pay attention to situations where he's acting out. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. He has also assaulted me multiple times, punching, throwing things at my face, and leaving marks and kicking. He is a child, so he cannot be diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, but his psychiatrist and therapist agreed he more than fits the criteria. Research suggests if we do not get his behaviors under control through our parenting and in therapy before puberty fully sets in, there will be an ASPD diagnosis in his future. We are doing our best. We have tried every single thing everyone has ever recommended to help him. I personally have spent 200 plus hours over the last year researching, trying to figure out what else we can do to help. I do understand that none of this is his fault and he lacks empathy entirely. This is a part of his diagnostic work. I am not talking out of my ass.
Paperwork. Diagnostic paperwork.
Okay, diagnostic paperwork. So teaching him that things are wrong just doesn't matter to him because he doesn't understand the why behind it. We even switched to just teaching him that when he does things he shouldn't, he will get in trouble. So it's not really in his benefit in the long run, instead of teaching him how to think about what he's doing and impact others. Instead of teaching him to think about how what he is doing impacts others.
I know that this isn't a controversial thing to say, and a lot of people aren't going to agree, but this is why I think it's okay to spank your kids.
Yeah.
There's a time and place for that shit. You attack mommy, that shit needs to be stopped.
You're attacking
another
sister.
person, that shit needs to be stopped. And what better way to let them know what's happening and what they're doing to another individual than having it done to them?
Right.
I know that that's going to piss off a lot of people, but I fucking stand by that.
Yeah.
I'm old school in that. I think that a casual spanking every once in a while is not abuse.
I agree.
It doesn't need to be done out of anger or malice. Like, there's a time and place for that shit.
Right. And it's a build up to that of other consequences.
Right. Before it was abuse to spank your kids.
Yeah.
The line was making sure that you only got them on the tush. And you didn't leave bruises or marks. Then it became unacceptable to come down on them, period. Situations like this, how else are you going to better explain that? You don't like it when that happens to you. Why do it to your sister?
Zach said the average IQ in the U.S. is like 97.
He said that kid's in the top 2% if he's got an IQ at 135.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I'm at like 122.
I'm at like 6.
Oh, stop it. Have you ever done an IQ test? Oh.
Nope.
Back into the email. I try so hard to teach him things, how to manage his emotions, how to identify them, how to figure out why he feels the way he does, how to decide if he's being logical, how to communicate his feelings, thoughts, etc. Basically, therapying the shit out of him. He refuses to participate. With me, with my husband, with his therapist, well, he'll participate, kind of, but often lies with everyone. We've discussed so many times why these things are important, why we've been open and honest with him on how his disorder affects him, will affect him in the future, and why it's important we do the hard work now, etc.
Pause. Jenna said that with children who have spanking won't help with PDA kids. She said use restraint for our safety and his. Someone else said you should not treat aggression with aggression. It teaches them when they don't like something you do, I can hit you. Well, I think that comes down to the conversations that happen afterwards, but ultimately this is an argument that will literally be an argument because everyone has their own belief system.
Right.
So
here's where the issue lies. My husband and I do not agree on where to go from here. Not entirely, anyway. Last summer, there was a massive disruption to all of our lives after the incident in the car when our son hurt our 3-year-old. Shortly after, when he started physically assaulting me. I put my foot down and told my husband something really needed to change. At that point, he was still completely in denial of the situation we were dealing with. I begged, I pleaded, I sobbed to him to just listen to me and trust that what I was telling him, what the therapist and psychiatrist were saying was true. He just couldn't believe it. I felt like I had to choose between staying with my husband and the safety of my daughters. I told him before this that if something happened to one of the girls again, I would take them and leave if he did not do something to fix things. That, if it happened again, our son would not be allowed under the same roof with our daughters until he got some help. I know that ultimatums are wrong, and I can only imagine how my husband felt and probably still feels about this. The issue is/was that I am home with our son more than my husband is. Not by much, to be completely honest. Because the hours my husband works, he really is home a lot and is home within 30 minutes of our son. My husband has done as much as he can to limit the time I am home alone with our son because his behaviors are far worse when my husband isn't around. Then, when I recount situations to my husband when he gets home, our son will tell him I'm lying. Side note, we have cameras in our home. Originally, the cameras were just a safety measure, but I have pulled them up countless times to prove that I'm not lying. To be clear, my husband has never once thought I was lying. I do not lie. I pride myself on that. Okay, so she was pulling up the footage to show that the son was lying, not because her husband didn't believe her. Okay. I do not lie, and I pride myself on that. I have always been open to taking accountability where I mess up because I want people to believe me when I need them to. As a child, I was not allowed to defend myself and was called a liar all of the time, even if I could literally prove that I wasn't lying. I was not allowed to say a word. Even if I could prove I wasn't lying, I wasn't allowed to say a word. If my parents said I did something, I did it. It didn't matter, so all of this has already been really important to me. There have been times that I will put pull up camera footage, have our son watch it, and he will still say he did not do the things he is doing in the video. That the video is wrong, or that I altered it somehow to make it look like he did whatever it was. Finally, last year, randomly one day, my husband had just gotten done talking to my son about a situation that happened. My son said all the right things, as he does, and he did the right things. He has a way of convincing people that they got through to him, but it is an act. No one believes that until it happens to them, and it took us a long time to realize it. But he has admitted to so much on top of us having proof of it. Anyway, my husband asked our son if he needed a minute to calm down before getting ready to go somewhere with him. He said yes, so he went up to his room, and he came down not even 30 seconds later, practically skipping by and making some comment about some show or something. I looked over, and my husband's face was just white. It was the moment he finally realized I had been right the whole time. He started looking into inpatient treatment centers and even military schools, which I don't totally agree with, but I understand the thought. Like I said, I was, and still am, worried about the safety of my daughters. Our son is not allowed to be in the same room as them without direct supervision, and that does not stop him from trying. My head is on a constant swivel. I cannot relax when he is home. Ultimately, we cannot afford any boarding program/treatment centers, so we've just been stuck in the same cycle. I will say, there has not been an instance of our son harming our daughter since last summer that I can prove. However, he will constantly try to go into areas with them where it is not being directly supervised and will continue to do so repeatedly after being corrected and reminded several times. He just comes back out, says he forgot, and wait until he thinks we're not paying attention and tries to go right back to whatever it is our daughter is playing. Well, again this week, my son tried to hit me. I grabbed his arm before he made contact. This was after he bowed his chest and started walking towards me while yelling at me. I was holding my baby when these things happened. There were no consequences for my husband when he got home. I had gone to lay down that afternoon, so when I asked my husband what we were doing for consequence, he said we already talked about it, meaning him and our son. I asked, so there are no consequences. He said, and he tells me how he didn't say that, but then confirms none had been handed down. That was Tuesday, it's now Thursday.
I don't remember this email.
I don't remember this either. I told my son that if he physically tries to harm me, the girls, or one of our dogs again, I would report it so we can get a referral for him to be put in an inpatient treatment center. I meant it. My husband, despite the fact he's agreed that's the only option we really have left, is really upset about it. He will not talk to me about it, but I know. I cannot assume other people's feelings, but we are in sync in a way I cannot describe. He's very good at compartmentalizing, almost to a fault. He does not let any situation affect another 98% of the time. So things that are great with us, the girls, etc., but his demeanor changes when I try to talk to him about the situation with our son, and when I try to tell him that I really meant what I said about reporting the behavior. I just don't know what to do. I do not want my marriage to be ruined because I am trying to do the right thing for everyone. I can't get my husband to talk to me about it. How do I get him to talk to me about this? I know that I told him I made a decision and that I'm sticking to it, and that is true, but I still want to know how he's feeling, if he has another solution, or if he's supportive of it. If he really will leave me if I do it. He's never said that, of course, but I do feel like if anything causes the marriage to end, it will be related to our son, which I hate. Please let me know if you need any additional information, have questions, or anything.
All right, we can go back to the top now.
Okay.
Okay, so that was the original email, and I don't remember any of that. Makes me wonder if I disassociated that entire email or how productive I was when we read it.
Oh, I don't know.
All right, here's the update.
Hello, I hope this update finds you guys well. I don't think there's been any questions in this, but I really want to share a positive update and thank you both for what you're doing. Quite honestly, I am kind of embarrassed at the mentality I had when I wrote my original email and kind of wish I could take it all back. Yes, that is how I was feeling, but I did not realize how short-sighted and narrow-minded I was being. I have wanted to write this follow-up email for a really long time, but it's still really hard for me to outwardly recognize my mistakes and shortcomings. Internally, I take accountability left and right, but it's taking that accountability and vocalizing it to others that I struggle with even now. I am doing the work, and while at the time I was so proud of the growth I had made, I now realize it hardly touched the surface of what I needed to work on. I owe so much to you both for your roles in helping me in this journey I am on. Turns out my son is also autistic. There was a lot of regret in the way I just accepted those diagnoses for my son and ran with them. I do my best to remind myself that I didn't know, and I was doing my best, at least in the ways I thought I knew, to get him the help I knew he needed. But it was all the exact opposite of what he needed. I could talk about misdiagnosis, I could talk about misdiagnosis ad nauseum, so I'm just going to say that it's utterly ridiculous that autism is as prevalent as it is, and yet most people have no clue what that spectrum actually looks like.
Why? Why would people who are not parents of autistic children or teachers have anything to know anything about that? If that's not something that's prevalent directly in their life, why would people spend time researching it? Why would there be, now knowing that 1 in 30 kids are being born with autism, there should be some sort of education taught in the school system about it so there's an understanding, but they don't do that about bipolar or any other medical diagnosis that's not like in a medical setting. You go to school to learn about the basics to get you into college if you're going to do that. There's not a reason for people to know those things. Is that a shame? Absolutely. Should they? Probably. But for it to be a thing where she thinks that it's crazy, that it's ridiculous that people don't have a clue what the spectrum actually looks like.
Unless it impacts their day-to-day life.
Why would they?
Right. I would expect teachers to have some information, right? Because if you're teaching a group of 20 children, all of those 20 children look different.
Right. Well, there's a high likelihood that one of those 20 children, at least one of them is autistic.
Right.
When you take the entire group of the school, knowing that 1 in 30 is, you could have multiple in your class that are autistic. And then obviously, there needs to be an extra level of training when it comes to people who are in, daycare positions, things of that nature, just for safety measures. But
back to the email. Heck, at the time that I wrote my original email, I knew it was far more than the average person does. Oh my God. Heck, at the time that I wrote my original email, I knew far more than the average person does about autism, and it barely scratched the surface. I also think it leads to personality disorders in adulthood, but also another conversation for another time, I suppose, but it's no wonder why. I was doing the same things to him that my parents did to me. It just looked different, and I really did go around bragging about how I was doing so much better than them. I didn't hear people talk about that part of healing and growing as much. But that looking back and realizing how naive and horrible I was being, all while having this almost superiority complex, disgusts me. Honestly, I am ashamed, but at the same time, I realize I cannot do anything to change the past, and all I can do is continue to do the work and be better today and each day after. It's been a hard pill to swallow, but the fact that I'm starting to be able to do that is a sign of my own healing, so I am doing my best to accept it all.
Love that.
We did not send my son to inpatient treatment, and we have not had to commit him again either. We took his diagnosis and made the changes we needed to make. It should not have taken a diagnosis to accommodate him the way we are now, and I own that, but it did.
Why? If you didn't know that he was autistic and didn't know what was going on and you didn't have the information, how are you going to hold yourself in a position of guilt? You didn't know any better. You were doing the best with the information you had. Now, could you have done more like digging and research? Looks like you did. You got the diagnosis. Now you have the route.
Yeah, that 200 plus hours of research paid off because now you have an answer.
Right.
I'm not proud of it, but I'll be the first one to admit that I have a lot of growing to do, even though February didn't think so.
February me didn't think so.
Even though February me didn't think so. I would recommend to this emailer to let go of a lot of that guilt, because that's like the 6th time she's had to explain or felt the need to explain. Have some grace with yourself. It is okay. Back to the most important part. It's been a slow process, but the changes we have seen in our son bring tears to my eyes every time I think about it. There are so many things that we, meaning myself and my husband, need to work on as people in order to give our kids what they fully need, and we are doing it. Our son still has a long way to go, a lot of undoing the trauma that was brought onto him by the world and by us as his parents. He also has a lot of unlearning to do about himself, about how his brain works, mental health, his worth, and more before we can really tackle other things. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Being a mom and a wife is all I've ever wanted in life. Whenever people asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, that was the only answer that I could come up with. But I was raised by people who didn't think that was enough and taught me not to rely on anyone else and that I can have a career and raise kids, so I should. It didn't occur to me that I was being taught that by people who still to this day cannot comprehend the idea that they were wrong in how they raised us and that kids, humans in general, require emotional intimacy to be fully functioning members of society.
Absolutely.
100%. Do you want to know when I get the most I love yous from the children?
When?
When I'm playing with them or I'm helping them do something that they can't do by themselves. My husband is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I love my kids with my entire being, but my husband is a blessing that I have never felt worthy of. Still don't feel worthy of. He has loved me through every single thing I have thrown his way. Every nasty comment, every depressive episode, every emotion-infused argument, every anxiety attack, every time I self-sabotage or try to sabotage our relationship simply because I felt uncomfortable with peace. I could go on and on. He didn't deserve any of it, and there was a time where I believed those things were normal and okay. But now I'm just sad for the way I treated the first person to really see me and love me for me, despite my flaws and my brokenness. I know I can't change the past, but I am determined to spend the rest of forever working to be worthy of the type of love he has shown me and continues to show me every single day. I think I'm finally starting to see that person that I've always known to be. I think I am starting to finally see that person that I've always known to be who I am at my core peeking through. And I think that person is the person my husband has been seeing all along. I can't pretend to know how this man has brought... Oh my God. I can't pretend to know how this man was brought into my life when I feel as though I never deserved it. But I just feel blessed and thankful beyond belief. When I look at my kids, I see so much light and happiness. Watching them blossom in their own unique ways, on their own terms and time, is the most beautiful thing I think I will ever witness in life. It fills me with this overwhelming joy that I didn't know existed in reality. The more I heal, the more I mature emotionally, the more intense the feeling gets, the more beautiful those things become. There's a part of me that is sad for the me that I used to be. The one who knew there was a piece of life missing but didn't know what piece. And the me that thought that piece was my own autism and mental health disorders, so I'd never have that piece. But at the same time, I think I am finally at the point where I don't want to keep looking back and feeling sad for that person. I want to live in the now and build a better future. I told my husband, God bless his soul, 2 weeks ago that for the first time in my entire life, I thought I actually wanted to live and be alive. While it doesn't seem like a far leap from I don't want to die to a lot of people, it was life-changing for me. Feeling that feeling of not only wanting to die, but also wanting to live, it's irreplaceable. And you both are a very, very large part of this journey for me and showing me how to identify where changes need to be made, how to make them, how to prioritize myself while also doing so for the people in my life that I love, and so much more. There's nothing I can say or do to show my gratitude that will make There's nothing I can say or do to show you my gratitude that will ever be able to encompass it fully. Your work, your dedication to helping people and sharing your own journeys have saved actual lives, mine included.
I think it's super fucking important for real people to realize that the past happened. That's it. It happened.
Right.
It's over with. Unless you're still in a situation where you're doing the same shit that you were doing in the past, it doesn't fucking matter anymore. It's done. Mm-hmm. And that's where acceptance comes in, right? And that's where true forgiveness can happen. It happened. I can be really upset and salty and vindictive and manipulative and angry and a toxic, poisonous piece of shit because of my past, where I can go, I still have the rest of my life to live. And if I'm hung up on this one moment in time and I'm constantly focusing on that, I'm going to miss out on all of this.
Right.
I want all of this to be as pleasant and as joyful and as meaningful and fulfilling and just amazing as possible. And if this is what I'm focused on, all of that is not going to be the case. I don't have any like regrets in my past. I've done a lot of really fucked up shit, and I'm not sorry about any of it. That's a lie. I'm sorry. That's the wrong term.
You don't regret it.
I don't regret it. I am sorry that I hurt people or that I did things that may have caused people any type of discomfort, but that shit happened. That's who I was in the moment. And in the moment, I damn sure wasn't sorry for it. As I've evolved as a man, I can look back and go, that was wrong. And I can have remorse, but everything that I did got me here. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have healed to the way that I am. And where I'm going, my trajectory is great. And if I can continue to learn from other people's mistakes,
Right.
I'm gonna have a dope ass fucking life. But it took a whole lot of fucking ugly to get there. I'm not resentful for my past. There's not like I shouldn't have done that. It sucks that I hurt somebody, but it got me here. I'm fucking good with that. If I could go back and change anything in my life, I wouldn't change any of it. Not a
I
fucking
agree.
thing.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. Not a thing. Oh no. All right, I have to go back this way because I opened it in a different tab.
That drained me.
Did it?
Yeah.
It was a lot for you to read. There was a lot of struggle happening there. You want me to read the next one? Here's a looking for advice, a love story. What do you want to do? Women's stories?
I don't want to pick.
All right, we'll do a looking for advice.
That does not look familiar to me.
Okay. Well, then let's do this one. Since it's
Okay.
Patreon. Hey, real quick before we get into this email, guys, if you are not a member of our Patreon, I highly recommend that you become it. If you have sent an email and you're waiting for a response to us, Patreon gets priority. If you are a member of our Patreon because you are supporting the community and supporting what we're doing, those emails get prioritized versus the people who send emails in just hoping that we read them to give them advice. This is a scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. We've created not only a business, but a community. And in order for us to pay the people to do the job, we have to make money.
Yeah.
Patreon pays people to do the job that allows us to continue to do this full time. So if you're not a member of the Patreon, I highly suggest it.
Yeah.
You get a dope ass community through Discord and your emails get prioritized. Follow-up emails get prioritized. And pretty soon we'll be doing live calls for the ultimate chat. We discussed that a little bit yesterday. We just got to figure that out going forward. So with that being said, we're going to get into our next email.
This one is titled Follow Up to My Super Chat Patreon Member. Hey y'all, I sent a super chat recently and you asked me to send an email with more detail, so here it is. I will try my best to get everything in. My girlfriend, 32, and I, 31 male, have been together for 9 months. We were together straight out of high school. Wait, what?
That doesn't read right. Maybe that should have said 9 years. That doesn't read right either. 32 female and 31 male.
Been together for 9 months. We were together straight out of high school, moved in together, and the relationship
Oh, they
was great.
separated.
Okay. Due to immaturity and lack of life experience, we stopped putting work into our relationship and ended up breaking things off. We went our separate ways and lived life. I have 2 girls, 9 and 7, and she has a boy, a year and a half. All right. I have 2 girls, 9 and 7, and she has a boy, a year and a half, and a girl who is 4. We've both been through a lot in life, abuse, cheating, etc., etc. We started talking in October of last year, both of us saying to each other we were not interested in having a relationship at all, as to not lead each other on. We established friendship first and foremost, and it ended up turning into something more. We talked, texted, and hung out a lot because we related to each other, and the friendship we had when we dated the first time was so incredibly easy to pick up.
I'll just hit him with the preface of the thing.
Okay.
So guys, currently our AC guy is here. Our AC has not been working properly. So if you hear weird noise in the background, that's why.
All right.
Before we jump back in, Jay said, was it difficult to give up 50 to 80% ownership after years of building and dealing with those thoughts now? So here's the thing with Black Sales. There was a tattoo shop here called Level 5 Tattoo. It had been in business for like 20 fucking years here. It was the longest running tattoo shop in my county. And the guy that I worked for when I worked there sold it to somebody else. They started selling drugs out of the business, ran it into the ground, and I bought it, changed the name, and rebuilt it. And Sean was a part of the rebuilding process. It took us about 8 years to reestablish like a good client base, 7 years, something like that. And because because Sean was a part of it the entire time, when the hurricane hit it, Sean was without work. He didn't do anything. He went to work for me at Sacred and like stayed loyal and didn't run away and just remained. So when we started talking about opening Black Sales, it made sense for me to give it to him. He was my apprentice 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. He's been my longest lasting living best friend.
Right.
He's been super fucking loyal to the studio, and the least that I can do is give him that. I don't need it. Mm-hmm. We don't need it. The extra income that we were making from Black Sales is nice.
Yeah.
But it's life-changing for him.
Leave it.
So it was not at all a problem for me. The biggest concern in all of that was making sure that the income was covered from other revenue streams before it did that to him. So, and then real quick, IT guy said, my daughter is sitting here watching with me and I wanted to share to y'all that she got engaged to the father of my future grandson. No. She is super excited for both things. That's awesome.
Forgot to put a collar on her today.
It's all right. She's being a little vocal. She's not being aggressive vocal. She's letting you know she's not okay with what's happening. All right, let's get back to this.
Okay. I don't remember where we were at.
Just start with we started talking in October.
We started talking in October of last year, both of us saying to each other we were not interested in having a relationship at all, as to not lead each other on. We established friendship first and foremost, and it ended up turning into more.
It's like us.
Yeah. We talked, texted, and hung out a lot because we related to each other, and the friendship we had when we dated the first time was so incredibly easy to pick back up. We had conversations about life goals, very serious conversations about marriage. She knows I bought the ring, and I've asked her dad for permission to marry his daughter. And we have just found out a few weeks ago she is pregnant. Not planned, but lack of planning not kind of makes it planned.
It's not who you know, or it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
I believe that. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. That whole not planned, but lack of planning not kind of makes it planned. Not to kind of makes it planned. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but lack of planning not to get pregnant. Okay. So they said that she got pregnant, not planned, but the lack of not getting pregnant kind of makes it planned.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, to the super chat. We've been together since December 2023, and the relationship has been absolutely amazing. We listen to you guys a lot, and it typically takes us around 4 hours to get through an episode because of the pausing the conversations that we have.
I love that.
Me too.
I truly believe that that's what makes the difference in relationships. Mm-hmm. You can take on so much, and you can try to convey it, and you can try to have the conversations. But the two of you sitting down, it's no different than watching your favorite TV show together and then talking about it afterwards, or pausing, going, "Wait a minute, oh God, I got to rewind that and see it again."
Did you see that shit?
Yeah, right. It creates an intimate bond between people, and you're doing it on other people's issues instead of your own. It's a fucking win.
It is. Oh my fucking gosh.
Her ex-husband.
I know. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to help. What do you mean, thank you? You want me to read it?
No, I can do it. I'm checked out. Like, this week has been exhausting for me, and I still have so much I have to do once the kids are at their dad's this weekend. Did
you hear back from the lawyer?
No.
Okay.
That's something else that I still have to get done.
You called him though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Her ex-husband's family has been absolutely amazing to her through the turmoils of the relationship they had, and helped her realize how he was treating her prior to the physical abuse right before the relationship ended. That family still considers her one of their own, and she was invited on this trip. I expressed on multiple occasions that I was uncomfortable with her going to Florida for a week with her ex-husband, who was abusive while she is pregnant, and he has been hard to deal with. He still tells her that he's in love with her and that he wants her back. I trust that she's faithful. I have no doubt in that.
Fuck that.
That's
Nope.
No way in hell.
No. You and I would be at fucking odds if you even asked me to go to another state with your ex-husband. No,
Yeah.
we ain't doing that.
And that whole situation put together, he's still in love with her. She's with another man, and she's pregnant with another man's baby.
Yeah.
And he's abusive. He's physically abusive, documented. It has happened in the past. Not playing that game.
Yeah.
It takes one instance for him to get alone with her and get physical for something to happen.
Right.
In the conversations that we have had concerning the vacations, she said that because the plans of the vacations predated the beginning of our relationship, she went through with it. She drove, we live in Arkansas, to Florida with him and stayed for a week and drove back with him as well. Okay, so she's not that scared of him.
Clearly not. I'm not okay with this.
I'm not okay with this either. Like, this paints... So, I can't stand it when women will say, I'm scared of a man while they're in a relationship with him, but then things end and then they do things like this.
Yeah.
What is this? I would have a very hard time trying to listen to the justification of that. I understand her reasoning for wanting to go, I do, but my question is, at what point in a relationship does the relationship need to be prioritized over the pre-existing plans?
When you decide to commit to another person.
Yeah.
When we go from courting to dating or we're living together, that shit's out the window now. Like,
Yeah.
I view that as your past life. This is the life we're currently living.
Right.
The fucking balls on that chick.
Yeah.
Right? Like
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Nope. I don't care if I trusted like in this situation, if he trusts her fully.
Right.
Unequivocally, no, she's not going to do something wrong.
This situation.
Still not about this.
Right.
You got my kid in your belly. You want to go around somebody who's abusive and you're trying to go to another with your ex-husband.
Who's still in love with you.
Who is, yeah, exactly where I was going with that. Who has stated he's still in love with you for a week in Florida.
And
Plus
you're driving together.
Nah, fuck that.
Not playing that game. That would have probably been relationship ending for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. The selfishness that's in all of that. What I say goes. I don't know. I'm processing a lot.
Yeah, let's see where this goes.
Okay. Am I wrong for being upset that she went through with it?
Nope.
I agree. I do not think that you're wrong for that. Am I wrong? Blah. Am I wrong in thinking she should have sent the kids and stayed home instead of going on a trip she already couldn't afford? $10K in debt, and the ex-husband paid for everything with the agreement that she would pay him back half.
Okay, so her kids went too.
Do they have mutual children together?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that I think that changes things a little bit, but he should have been invited.
Right.
That's my answer, right? Like real shit. Like if we're going to do this as a family, I'm going because I'm a part of this now.
Right.
And if I'm not invited and you're going, I'm not invited for a fucking reason.
Right. Then you're going on vacation with your dad kids.
Yeah. You can say whatever you want at that point. You are now isolating me from the family that we're creating to pick one that you walked away from.
Yeah.
Make that make sense.
Right. I would feel a sense of betrayal in that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like if this is what you guys wanted, you should have worked it out.
You should have. Yep.
Am I wrong for being hurt that she disregarded my feelings and feeling disrespected in the relationship? No, you're not wrong for being hurt. I would definitely be hurt. I would not be able to sleep.
Yeah.
It would be hard for me to eat. My anxiety would be out of control. And I would also feel, I would feel disrespected. I'd feel like I'm not a priority. Thank you guys for everything you do. I listen to you religiously, and I know I've grown a whole lot as a person.
Did you skip all that on purpose?
Skip what?
All of about the debt.
No, I read that already, babe.
You didn't read that out loud.
I did. The $10K in debt, and the ex-husband paid for everything with the agreement that she would pay it back in half.
I don't remember you reading that. That's okay though.
Okay. Thank you guys for everything you do. I listen to you religiously, and I know I've grown a whole lot as a person and as a partner from you. I can't express how much I appreciate you.
So then let's have a conversation of where that goes and what that looks like. If you are co-parenting and you're with a new person and you're pregnant, things are pretty fucking serious if you decide to have that kid.
Right.
Right? You're creating a family now. Your new family should be the priority over your old one. And that doesn't mean that you neglect your children. It means that the ex-husband and the ex-in-laws and all of that shit
are now lower rung.
Right. Yeah, they're way down on the totem pole of whose priority is where. Your new partner is your priority. Your new kid is your priority. You should still be taking care of your children. So I'm not saying to neglect your kids again, but your family that you're creating overrides the previous extended people who are there.
Right.
And if they're not willing to allow the new kids, because there are people out there who co-parent who will not let new kids come to outings, that's not fair to the children. And you're not willing to let my person come, we're not going.
Right.
This is a unified front in all things. And the moment that unified front becomes separated and you start doing your own thing and I start doing my own thing and our relationship becomes 5th, 6th, or 7th in the list of what is important in life, our relationship is going to fail. There's no way around that. It's fucking done. You don't prioritize anything else over the marriage. God, that's it.
Right. Yep.
How would you handle this situation?
I would have to think about that for a long time, because like I said, that would probably be like relationship ending for me, but there's a child on the way.
How would you handle this if you were the woman?
I wouldn't have gone. If I was the pregnant woman.
What if it was something you had already paid for a year before they met and got pregnant? Say they were planning on
That's
Disney
money lost.
in July of 2025.
Like to take the kids on vacation?
With the dad.
With the dad?
I'm just making up shit at this point.
Okay, well, have my new man and I been together for a while?
Long enough to get pregnant and decide you're going to keep it.
Was this vacation before I got with the new man?
That's what they said. It was planned before they got together.
Okay.
That's what she said. That's what he said. He said, she said. Quite literally.
So it would be so Disneyland is one of those things where that's like a once in a lifetime opportunity for some families.
Yeah.
So if this is one of those instances where we finally scrounged the money together, we planned this Disney trip for a year and a half in the making, the children are expecting both of us to go. If you're able to get the time off of work and I would love for you to come, we can accommodate you. I'm not going to miss this trip. I'm sorry you feel that way. Going forward, I'll make sure that this isn't a thing where I'm vacationing by myself with my ex-husband and the children. And if you're not invited, then the ex-husband can have his time with the kids, and then you and I can plan something when the kids are here.
I'm curious if there was a conversation when they were in like new courting as to this trip happening. Because I would want to know that. If we're in the courting phase and you told me like, hey, we're going to fucking Disney in July. This has been planned since August of last year or this year, and we're going next year. That's a different conversation than, hey, we're going on this trip after you and I have decided we were going to start being together and living this life.
Right.
I think that matters too. I also think that when you have other family members and kids involved, there's a whole lot of conversation that needs to be had before you move in together and before you start having that relationship, because you both have kids from previous situations. Like, are we just cycling people in and out of those kids' lives and you're just mommy's friend or daddy's friend and daddy will have a new friend next week? Like,
right.
I think all of that matters. And this is that whole failed to plan thing. I wouldn't tolerate that.
Me either.
I wouldn't, in a situation where you hit me with that in the very beginning and I knew it was coming, I would have just accepted that's the thing. Like, this has been planned. They're not together anymore, blah, 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 blah. Now, if that was planned and it was all discussed when we were courting and we started dating and dude was coming around talking about, I love you still. And that was a thing that would absolutely change things, because now I know you're going down there knowing that he's still in love with you.
And going to try some shit.
Right. And what happens if the kids are with the grandparents for the day at Disney and you guys are drinking and the grandparents decide to take the kids for the night, hoping that you two may rekindle some shit and some infidelity happens?
Yeah.
Because it may not be physical, but even if there's inappropriate conversations, it's still inappropriate as fuck. Like,
I miss you too sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That shit would crush me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're telling your ex you miss them. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be a little over an hour on this one, and I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it too.
Do you have anything that you want to add to today's episodes, or?
No, not particularly. I'm going to be honest. This has really drained me.
Yeah. If this is 49 and we only have technically 3 episodes, 50, 51, and 50. No, 52 is so we have 2 episodes we have to record left for the year.
You get our Christmas jammies.
I know.
Our onesies.
I know. That psychologist that emailed this morning just emailed back.
Really?
Yep. We have like 3 or 4 therapists that want to come on the podcast.
That's crazy.
And all of them have validated us, saying that we're doing a great job and shit.
Yeah.
So
That feels good.
it does.
That feels good.
It's a big middle finger to all the people who hate on us for not having licenses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't have anything then. So let's wrap up. We have to do a couple more Friday episodes. Those are the big ones that we have to do this year. So what are we going to do for the next Friday episode?
I have no idea. I have to call the lawyer. That's the thing on my brain right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Guys, remember you are the author of your own life.
So grab a pen.
And we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.